Well, hi kids. We're trying something new. We're just here to make a little story of our life.
We're trying to set up something so that you have something to remember us by. It's going to be, I think, of interest to you.
Okay kids, you have no idea how much me and Dad love you, how much you mean to us, and how important you are to our life. And we're proud of everybody.
I don't even know what to say, because we didn't spank our kids as a rule.
Yeah, we weren't big spankers.
We weren't into spanking. And they all seemed to come around without being naughty. They all were pretty good kids.
Who's your favorite?
We don't
Oh,
we don't have favorites.
we have a favorite.
You want us to say it? No, we'd be in trouble.
Think about when you were growing up. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? Maybe where you grew up or some stories?
I lived on a farm, and we had a dog, and I tried to take a bone away from the dog, and the dog did. He actually bit me above the eye, and it was a serious bite. He thought I might lose my eye. And the doctor came out and he sewed it up, and it never bothered me after that. And
How old were you?
probably 1 or 2 years old. And then another thing I can remember about being on that farm, I remember I lit a fire underneath one of the beds. And it was just fortunate that my mother was right there and they put the fire out. That's about all I can remember about the farm. From there we moved down across the quarry. And I can still remember we used to always go across the bridge to a neighbor. We always would eat popcorn, and then we would go back home. I can also remember that there was a big lime pile. It was quite high, and that was one thing I can remember. Also, I can remember they had a couple of kids that were at the kiddie camp. There was a kiddie camp there at one time. Well, it probably still is there, but those kids broke the windows. They broke a bunch of the windows, and then our neighbor caught them. I remember having them by both ears, and he brought them out down to our house, and then from there they called the cops, and then of course they got arrested. I can still remember my mother. She went across the street, and I had to go along with her to get an iron. They came through the mail, and well, I guess that's about it. I can also remember the work down at quarry. They were digging out limestone, and you had tracks going down into the into the quarry. But I guess as far as that goes, from that point on, we moved off out of there, out of the area where the quarry was, and then we moved over to North 6 in Columbus. I can still remember I was very small, and when I saw the lake, I thought that my father, who was driving, was going to drive right into the lake because it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that was quite the impression that it made on me, to see the lake for the first time.
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan. While I was growing up, we had a lot of strange things happening. We had a neighbor that had 4 kids, I guess they had, and we had one of those boys was missing, and so they had everybody out in that area searching, and they eventually found him underneath their porch. He went in his pants, that's what happened. And he didn't want to be sitting to his parents, so he got caught in a predicament. Let's see, another thing that we did, we every once in a while we would start a fire in that area. That was all grass in back of our house. And one time we lit a fire and it sort of got away from us, and everything from the back of the creek by us going north, that all went into one big blaze. Everybody from the city of Sheboygan came out, and they they couldn't see, they couldn't imagine what the heck was burning. You could see a big lot of red flying up in the sky. Yeah, it was quite the interesting.
How many people your mom had to take care of
Oh,
at your house?
yeah, thinking about that.
That's so interesting.
This was during the Depression. I was around 33, 34, 35. And we had my dad's brother, my mother's brothers, Freddie and Earl. They all stayed by us upstairs in the attic. That's where they slept. And us, we slept upstairs in the attic also. We had 4 kids in one bed. We had a pot-bellied stove that got red hot. That was our heating source for the whole house. And when we slept upstairs, there was a little grate in the floor. That's where we got our heat. It rised up to the point where we got some heat. And so it was quite interesting to have all those people sleeping up in that attic. And I can still remember when they all stayed there. They had to try and find jobs. Fred got a job when they built North High School. This was in the late 30s. And Earl, I don't think that he ever got a job until later on. But and then we had Casper. Casper would always smoke. He always had a cigarette thing out of his mouth. And every time he'd come over, I would jump in his car and take off. And that's the only way that I could learn how to drive. So I would do that every once in a while, and
So you would take his car, and how old were you?
well, probably 14, somewhere in there, maybe even younger. I was pretty young. Oh, I can remember so much of that stuff that was going on there. Where we had a old house that was attached to the garage, to the house, I should say, to the house.
So what was it like when you went to grade school?
Well, it was a strange situation. I went to grade school, to kindergarten, and I can still remember the children that were in kindergarten. We all sat around in small chairs in a sort of a circle. And I can still remember my Indian Chief tablet. And but then something happened. They told us. I remember my sister Helen. She took me to a grant school, and they said that we couldn't go to that school, and that's right. I could, and then from there on, we had to go to Pigeon River School, and that's where I remember going to kindergarten. That's what it was all about.
But all the way to 8th grade you went there, right?
I went through grade school. All 8 grades. I had Mrs. Schmidt for first and second grade, and Mrs. Rustling, I had her for third and fourth, and then Mrs. Teal, I had her for fifth and sixth, and then for seventh and eighth I had Arnold Boat, and that was my experience, going to school, to the river school, right? It was.
Tell me about some of your friends that you had when you were growing up.
Well, I had basically 2 friends, and they were Richard Wirtz and Bob Bayless. They lived about, well, I'd say about a mile away, and I can remember I went by Dick Wirtz, and down in the basement he had a crystal set that his brother made for him. But I listened to that on a pair of earphones. WHBL came in loud and clear, and I could not believe that something like that is possible. And that got me on a journey of electronics. And yeah, and from that time on, I started building radios. I remember always going up to Dick Wirtz's house because he had a good high antenna that went from the house to a telephone pole, which was about 75 feet from the house, and very good reception. And then he had a little, he had a place in the garage where you could sit and listen to that radio, and it worked out real well. So from that time on, I got involved with electronics. That's how I started.
You mentioned about your mom several times. Can you tell me a story about your dad?
Well, he was somebody that did a lot of yard work. He filled in a big area of the yard with dirt, and then as time went on, He built a wall around the yard with concrete blocks. And
Tell them what your neighbor said about the car.
what?
Your neighbor that time said about that car. Buried a car in there.
Oh, that's right. As he was flying in, they decided to bury a couple of cars. And so
They said they're still in there.
that was another thing, they buried the cars. I can remember before that happened, Ginny and all those people were at the house, and we had a party there. I don't think I have a picture of that, but yeah, maybe I do. But they actually had a pretty good gang there that day. And so with this group of people, they actually were drinking enough where they got into a fight. They were calling each other all kinds of names, and it was really hilarious. Yeah.
So is that when they decided to bury the cars?
Yeah, well, after that, then my dad filled the whole thing in. It was like a bowl down there in the backyard. Then he filled it all in, and he leveled the whole thing off. That was,
Whose cars were they?
those were old cars. They were probably, maybe Casper's cars, because he'd always have all kinds of cars. He'd get cars from the Black Auto on Superior Avenue, and they would take him to the cleaners. Most of the time, they would just run just long enough so he'd get at home, and then he'd have all kinds of problems with them. Yeah, that was funny.
Okay, let's start with your childhood.
Well, I lived in a lot of places. So a lot of it, I don't have as good a memory as him. I know I started grade school at St. Augustine's in Milwaukee. And had my first communion there. And I don't remember much else about Milwaukee. We went there because my dad was a truck driver and my mom wanted him to try something new. So my aunt and uncle lived there and got him a job in a factory. So you know how long that lasted. He didn't stay there very long. So we only lived there a couple years. And then we moved to Sheboygan, then to Sheboygan Falls, and then back to Sheboygan. Started at parochial school. That's what I remember the most. I was like in 5th grade. And actually one of my best friends, who was still my best friend, was in that grade with me. And we pretty much have been friends all that time.
What's your friend's name?
Ran. She had a little harder life than me. Her dad was not always the best person. So when she was, I think right when she came out of 8th grade, our pastor had her go to Milwaukee and live with the family. So then I didn't see her for a few years. As married partners, we all get along, so they're the people we camped with our kids. They had 6 kids and we all had 6 in the beginning. I mean, we're the only one who came up with an extra one. So
Yeah,
Bob doesn't even have all the memories. That
18 kids altogether.
Yeah, we had 18 kids that camped together. At all times, every time we went, we had 18 kids. And we always had a good time. No one ever was a problem. We all had tents in those days. Probably some of our greatest memories from those. Including the kids, and Bob kind of missed out on that because he was so much younger. Oh, another thing about my childhood was because my parents, both grandparents, both sets of grandparents, lived up in Wrightstown, which is close to Kaukauna and Green Bay. And they lived on a farm. The one lived on a farm. And then the other one, my grandma and grandpa lived in the little village, I guess. And my grandpa worked for the railroad, so I always remember that. And the one on the farm, they looked so forward to us coming because, that was a big trip for us in those days. So it became, then they'd always have this big party in the yard with a keg of beer in the middle of the yard. And us cousins would all get together and plan a skit and have a little play for everybody. That's how I remember that was so much fun for me. And my grandma that lived in the town, they actually would, they were a place where people brought beans when they picked on the fields, and they let me come and stay in the summer during that season, and then I helped weigh up beans and tie the tags on, and I felt important. Strawberry picking too, I got to help with that, so I'd always go up there every summer, like I bet a month out of a summer I'd spend there with one grandma or the other.
So tell me about your siblings.
I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. My one sister has passed away, but everybody else is still here. We're a good group. I don't remember ever really getting into any big hassles with anyone. And I'm the oldest. And then my sister that's still living, she's the youngest. But we're all good people. We all get along. Would you believe we had 65 children in the 5th and 6th grade? And we had one nun that had to take care of all of us. Then when we got to 7th grade, they decided to split us into 2. So we had two classes. So that our 7th grade, I got into be a select group that got into sit with the 8th grade. And then that's right. So when I was in 8th grade, then I was in 8th grade, but with 7th grade, I was also in part of the 8th grade. But I have real good memories. I still belong to that church. And at that time, they had a hall, and we'd have a play at 4th of July. We'd have a play. Christmas, they had a stage and everything there. Now there's none of that left anymore.
So what were some of your childhood interests when you were growing up?
I don't know. I played piano when I was a kid, which I don't anymore, because I had piano lessons. But otherwise, I was just a ordinary
Did you
kid.
sew or?
I always liked sewing, but that first started in high school, pretty much. I took a class, and I know I sewed a lot years ago. But gave that up too. Oh, and I had girls, that was fun. I would make them matching outfits for holidays and. But we always had friends, and we always played outside things. I know we lived in Milwaukee. That was when the polio epidemic was, and we weren't allowed to leave our yards. That I'll never forget, because we couldn't even go out of the yard. But
And why didn't they want you to go in the yards?
it was, I don't know. Everybody was like quarantined in Milwaukee. So I don't know what that was. It was because of polio, I know. Sure.
Yes.
Exactly. We were at the playground.
I'll never forget that, because I was drinking a cup of coffee in a restaurant
That's when I didn't even know he saw me there, though.
when she came into that restaurant, and she said
Because June worked there,
June Kepler worked there,
my friend.
and then you were saying something about that you gave your boyfriend's ring back, and then you talked a little bit, and then you left. Well, anyway, that night, I decided to go to, I think that was probably on a Saturday night, that I went to the playroom with a friend of mine, Don Hamelink, And
That's the part I remember. The other part I don't remember.
and we walked around in the dance floor, and who did we run into? June Kepler and Joann. Well, I asked her for a dance, and then June decided to go with Don Hamlin,
Darn.
and I started dancing with Joann. And from that time on, we just clicked all the way.
Then there's a funny part of this. That he asked me if I wanted to then go for a ride on Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
So I was home with where my family was, and he came over and he was in the kitchen, and Donna, my sister Donna, comes in and she says, "Lonesome, like what are you doing here?" Here, apparently, her and her girlfriend had been at the Palladium at some point, saw him, he had just come out of the service, and they thought, because I had given up my other boyfriend, that they wanted me to meet him. Isn't that funny? And here he comes, he's standing in our kitchen when she came home. And this is what you call him lonesome, because she felt that he was like lonesome for just coming home and he was just by himself at the dance hall. Yeah, and then here she thought she was going to put us together, and she had nothing to do with it.
yeah.
That was it.
That was it.
Yep.
And I remember we went down to the Violet Bowl. And
Because they had a zoo there then.
They had a zoo, and we went to the zoo. And actually, that's when we started going steady.
Yeah, we just
How
went
old-
together all the time
How old
after
were
that.
you?
She was 18 and I was 24.
Yeah. I was actually in my senior year of high school.
And when did you get married after?
We
How
got
long?
married in July
That same July.
of that year. And that was what you call quick
Quick decision or something.
decisions.
I've never been sorry. I was only 18, but I never was sorry. It was
And how many years of marriage now?
62. Yeah, it would be 62 now, this year.
62.
So, what was it like meeting her parents?
Well, actually, I didn't really.
Well, they would have been there that day, on
Uh,
that Sunday.
yeah, but
I don't remember how
your
that was.
dad was very seldom home.
Well, on weekends he was. My dad was a truck driver. So he's not. But my dad was typical Irishman, I guess. He liked people, he liked fun. And think of him a lot because he died really, really young. He got killed in his truck when he was 44. So we only had our first little boy. He was just a little guy. He was the only one he ever saw. And he would have just loved the kids. So it just wasn't fair. Right, wasn't he just like that? He was just
Yeah,
he liked
he was
he
always.
liked people and beer and
Yeah,
and
he was easy to get along
Yeah,
with.
he-
And,
my mother was more quiet, more reserved. She was a church organist. She could sing really good. She sang solo in the choir when she played. Yeah. Back in the day when you had mass twice every day, no, you're lucky to get twice in a week. She'd go there at 6 o'clock in the morning and then at 8 all the time. Yeah.
Okay, what was it like meeting Mr. and Mrs. Schmidt?
Oh, told my friends more than once that I don't think his mother would ever have said a bad word about anybody, but certainly not ever made me feel that she didn't like me a lot. She always made me feel good, like she really thought a lot of me, I think. She was a very nice lady.
well, my mother said to me that I should find a girl that doesn't smoke.
And I never smoked. And that's a qualification. And of course, if you see pictures of him, well, could Bob look something like that though? I mean, he was so good looking. How could you not? You know, he was such a good looking guy. We showed pictures at our anniversary. You know, like Bob puts together these slideshows and stuff. And one of my friends said, "God, he looks like a movie star." He was pretty good looking. Bob looks the most like him of all the boys.
Try to explain to the kids what the value of your loving relationship that you have. How do you try to instill that to your kids? I mean, you have to model it, you have to show it, and surely you've done that.
Well, I feel that's why our kids are pretty stable. I think because they always knew we were.
Yeah.
So they all are. They, they're good people and they know how to care. I guess I'm hoping we instill that in them, I think. It's not like every moment is perfect, but everybody knows that we were it. You know, it's like there's nobody else. There never would be. Otherwise we wouldn't still be here.
What advice would you give them as a parting thought to this little video that we're doing?
Well, I hope that they'll always remember and have good memories of our family, what we've done together, and that they'll surely know that we've always loved them a lot. Like, your children, I think, are the most important thing in your life. And now it's grandchildren. And it's up to great-grandchildren already. And everyone is special. Right.
Yeah, I would say something to always be thankful for. We have a very wonderful family.
We do. In fact, when I found out I was pregnant with Bob, it's like, oh my God, that's the last thing I needed after having 6 kids growing up, to be pregnant. And you know, they've been such a blessing, him and his little boys. The rest of the kids are so grown up already. In fact, the youngest grandchild up until that point is now graduating this weekend in Madison. And then Bobby's boys will be a while yet. So hopefully we'll still be around to see them grow up and maybe even graduate. It's like, you know, when they were born, you think when you turn to be 80, you kind of think maybe you don't have much time left. Well, we both are there and we're here. And hopefully we'll maybe see them graduate and get married, maybe. See how lucky we get.
Yeah.
Kids, we really love you.